All right, here's the first one. Talking about Jesus. How important is it to know Jesus is Lord? Assuming not just Savior, but as Lord. Dr. Thompson, deflect to Pastor Tony.
To deflect.
Now, see, one disadvantage I have is I don't know all the things that Pastor Robb taught. So, but I'll just answer it.
The
How
Bible.
about just tell the truth?
You can clarify it and qualify.
No, realizing that I have not known you to ever say anything that wasn't true. So why don't you just tell them the truth about it?
I will tell them the truth. Here's what I believe to be the truth about this. I think it's extremely essential to know Jesus as Lord. The idea of Savior has the idea of what He did in coming to rescue us from sin. And that is hyper essential, knowing Jesus as Savior. But if you only know Him as a person who came to rescue out of a problem and not to give you ongoing supervision and guidance in your life, it's just like knowing a person in only one dimension of who they are when they're really a multi-dimensional person. And one of the things we know about God is that He has revealed Himself to us deliberately and intentionally in a multifaceted way. I heard the phrase tonight that He's Jehovah Rapha, the Lord our healer. And it's good to know Him as the Lord our healer, but it's also important to know Him as Jehovah Shalom, the Lord our peace. And it's also important to know Him as Jehovah Sidkenu, the Lord our righteousness. So we don't want to miss any aspect of God's nature toward us. And thank God that He is a Savior. But if you only know Him as Savior and don't progress and don't develop to know Him as Lord, then your life is going to be without the proper spiritual authority. You're going to have someone who saved you from sin, but you're not going to have a relationship with Him in the concept or context of Him guiding and directing and ruling your life. And that's what we need to really just to have a full relationship with God, not just a partial, narrow relationship with God.
Dr. Thompson, that's pretty good.
That was really awesome.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, could you start back over the first point? One of the things that I want to kind of add to what Tony mentioned is that if you don't know Jesus as Lord, you really don't know Him as Savior. Because the Bible doesn't really teach the difference in between Savior and Lord. If you remember back in Luke chapter 2 when the shepherds came, or when the heavens were split open and it was revealed to the shepherds that there was going to be born in that day in the city of David, a Savior, which was Christ the Lord. And they said, hey, let's go on over and let's take a look and see, what these people are, or what these angels are talking about. And they went over and they saw, this baby that just had been born in swaddling clothes. He was in all of these cloths that he was wrapped up in. And the difference in between that was that they went and they saw and they left. But there were people that continued to pursue for really almost 2 years, following the star that was in the east. And you've heard me mention to you before that one came looking for a Savior that brought nothing. But the ones, when they came, that were looking for a king, they brought their gifts. And one of the things that you need to realize is that how would you know that you knew Jesus as Savior if He really wasn't your Lord? How could you ever really be convinced of the fact that He truly became your Savior? Not that you just had knowledge that you had been forgiven of sin, but that actually you had been able to go over and really become a Christian. Because one of the things that I've never found, and I've searched for it, I've been a Christian for 34 plus years, that I've never found the difference in between Savior and Lord in the Bible. The Bible isn't written about people that made Jesus Savior. It's only written about people that made Jesus Lord. And so I want to encourage you that to understand that you're not looking to try to just get into it far enough to just make sure you're in. You want to make sure that you're so far in that there could be no mistake that you are. And so if you don't know Jesus as Lord, I don't believe that there's any evidence that could be proven that you knew Jesus as Savior. So lordship is of the utmost importance. In Luke 6:46, Jesus said, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say?" So lordship has to do with action. It doesn't have to do with belief. It doesn't have to do with what I give lip service to. Matthew 15:8 says, "This people draws nigh unto me with their mouth, and they honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Teaching is doctrine, the commandments of men." And so you have to make sure that you don't get caught in a whole internal belief system that has really very little to do with what Jesus said. Make sure that what you believe is what Jesus said. It's not what you believe or what you think or what I think. It's what did Jesus say? And continually reset your system almost on a consistent basis to make certain that your belief system is based upon what he considers lordship in your life for him to be.
Now I have
Okay?
a follow-up question, Dr. Thompson. It seems as though it's a trend that people are more leaning to know Jesus as Savior and not Lord. Why would that be?
To me, there's kind of two, and Tony, you'll catch on.
Mm-hmm.
You'll catch on. He's trying to be nice to you right now. He's only giving you first grade, but I'm going to ask him to go to college level stuff now.
Just knock out punches.
Yeah, just tell you the truth. And he did what he said was true, but I want him to give you a deeper truth. I want it to be the question that we come back to him and say, "Now wait a minute, I want you to clarify this to me." And so the reason why that people want to know Jesus as Savior is because they will not have him to rule over their lives. In Luke chapter 19, verses 11 through 25, gives us a parable that Jesus talked about, which is almost identical to the parable in Matthew 25, beginning with verse number 14, where in Matthew 25 he calls it the talents, and in Luke 19 calls it the minas. But the whole issue there is that every indication that we have from the scriptures is that Jesus is going to come back to us and make us give him an account of our lives, of what we've done, of what we've believed, of what we've produced. He wants to know. And the outcome of our lives will be determined by that. But people don't want to know that because in Luke chapter 19, they sent a delegation of people after this man that was going to receive a kingdom to himself. And they said, "We don't want you to rule over us." And so to answer the question, it is that people do not want Jesus. It's not that they mind Jesus so much. They don't want the Word to rule over their lives. They don't want to apply their life to the Word. They want to occasionally apply the Word to their life. And never get caught in that deep, deep challenge. Make yourself choose the highest level of Jesus that you can possibly find. Because I've even considered this today. I thought, after all is finished and my life can now be looked back upon, what I discovered was that none of it really means anything once I'm too old to fix it. Doesn't mean anything. Why would I be pushed by peer pressure now, if in fact when I look back at that peer pressure in my life, it didn't mean anything? I wish that I didn't do it at that time. So please don't ever get caught in that whole idea of just making Jesus Savior, of coming in the church and saying that you believe in the Lord, but no one could actually turn the sound off and discover whether you were or not. So never get caught there.